Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. I apologize for the extended delay, but we have returned. We have our next series. We have our best of three, and spawning in the top right-hand corner of Alkion, we have our South Korean Zerg player, the Red Zerg, the big man himself, El Papi, Poderoso, representing Talent Esports. It is Dark. El Grande Papi himself, and spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the blue Protoss player from land of Peru, representing Team New Angels. It is Mute. Here we go. The second time that happened that I know of, I made the mistake of tabbing out. So for those who are curious, it is a very common bug. I say bug. I mean, it's not a feature. I guess it is a bug. If you're ever loading into a game of StarCraft, if you ever tab out at just as the game is transitioning from the lobby screen to the loading screen, if you tab out in that exact moment, then the game will crash. The game will crash. It happens to everyone. Yeah, it's frustrating. And I happened to be tabbing out in that moment. I was gonna type something in chat, in the Twitch chat, and yeah, I was I was probably booted from the game for that. So basically, whenever we load into a game, my hands, they're off the keyboard, Pappy. They're off the keyboard. We'll let it load in. Let's go. And for now, Hatchcat Spool, standard opener out of Dark, nothing too crazy. Likewise, Mute embracing his own opener as well. Some people were asking earlier in the chat about who Mute was. Mute is a Peruvian Protoss player. He was active back in the day. He used to go by a different ID. He used to go by the ID Andrinho, if I remember correctly. Or Andrinso. Andre something. Hold on, let me just double check that actually. I can just look it up. But he used to go by a different ID back in like 2018, 2019. He used to compete in a lot of online tournaments as well before we were active. There we go. Andrinho, that's it. Andresinho. There you go. There you go. Andrinho. Anyway, he used to go by Andre. Back in the day, but that was again many years ago. Now he has returned to competitive play somewhat. He's been laddering once again, returned for a couple of months now, and has been leveling up quite a bit, has been improving, has been climbing that ladder, you know, around 5.7, 5.8k MMR on the NA ladder, not too bad. And hey, he brought down Inexorable, very impressive stuff, and we'll see how he competes and how he compares to Dark. Dark is still the heavy favorite. Dark is still going to make a deep run and make it all the way to the finals. We'll see if anyone can stop and slow Dark down. We'll see if anyone can put an end to his run here. I mean, he's been patiently waiting for quite some time, but we'll see. We'll see what Mute has to offer. For now, Adept going to be shading in. Friends is shaded into the mineral line. Back at home, we have our Overlord Scout, and we get eyes on our tech of choice on the Stargate and the Oracle. We see all, we know all. We're good to go. We are good to go. Oh, poderoso, papi. Oh, sí. Muy poderoso. Let's go. But now everything's looking as it should. No wild deviations out of either Dark or Mute. Nothing crazy yet. Not yet. From here we are settling in. Adepts, they threaten the shade towards the natural. Lings are keeping up. So the Queens, we do cancel the shade, and Mute is going to back off. Is going to back off, just moving out with our initial oracles. It's triple oracle into a third base. So again, standard opener. Really, my eyes are on the next step here from Mute. So how we transition out of this and whether we work towards blink or charge or glaives. As the oracle is going to be denied. Meanwhile, that is a very fast lair. Let's go. Dark. He has been patiently waiting for over an hour to play his game, and now that we're in Giga fast lair here out of Dark. Now this could be one of two things. This could be a Link Queen Nidus all-in. We'd stay on 3 gases if that was the case. Otherwise, we could go for a 4th gas geyser and work towards Hydras for Ling Hydra. We could throw down an earlier Roach one, but there's no Roach one inside. I'm leaning towards Lurkers. Sorry, Lurkers? What? Nidus one, what I meant to say. I'm leaning towards the Link Queen Nidus all-in, as there is no other tech structure. Yeah, we have plenty of Queens as well. Oracle's going to be zoned away and show us the Nidus Worm. Should be coming soon. once the layer does complete. Meanwhile, back at home, we're morphing in additional adepts. These are vanilla adepts working towards a forge and Twilight Council, +1 in Blink, I imagine. Lings are amassing. Yeah, we're going for the all-in. It's all or nothing here for Dark. There it is. There's the Nidus Worm. Nidus into the main. At the same time, Adepts are threatening a move out, but again, it's only 6 Adepts. Going to be keeping our Lings in position. We have a Ling here towards the left-hand side. We have an Overlord in the main. Where is the Nidus Worm going to be thrown down? Where do we commit? Adepts, they poke and prod. They dance with the Queens. Getting some damage done. They do not commit to the shade. At the same time, Queens, they hold their own. Lings, they get across the map, and we can go for the Nidus right outside the natural, right at the front door of Mute. Lings, they threaten the third. No shield battery. And there's the Nidus Worm. No shield battery in position. No shield battery at the natural. No shield batteries at all. Uh-oh. Which means no overcharge, which means Mute, he is vulnerable. He's exposed. The pants, they're down, Papi. The pants are down. Nidus Worm does completely get a surround on 2 of these Adepts. Oracle's forced to spend their energy. Nidus Worm back into the main as well. And Mute, he's in a lot of trouble. We can bounce from the natural into the main base as well. Lings, they collapse on the main army. Oracle's there, already out of energy. The Oracle goes down. Lings are being cleaned up. A lot of Lings do fall, but the Queens are standing strong, and now we can rotate into the main. GG gets called, and Dark takes game number 1. GG in a very fast fashion. When it comes to Mutes, even though we had Oracles on the field, winding it back to what the Protoss needs to do in that position is Scout. Obviously, Scout, get eyes on the fast lair. Mute had no idea that there was a gigafast lair on the way and didn't get eyes on the gases, so because of that, had no idea or didn't have the wherewithal to throw down shield batteries, right? It's like, because we didn't realize how much danger we were in, that's why we had 0 shield batteries, 0 defensive structures whatsoever. We were lacking warp-ins, lacking units. Ideally, in that position, we would give up on the third. You would evacuate the third base and defend on 2 bases instead. Defend your main and defend your natural, and give up on the third. And even if the third is killed, you can recover. You can defend on 2 bases, you can re-expand and break out of the contain and make a game out of it and even take a lead. That's kind of the ideal from the Protoss side of things. But it all starts with the first step, and the first step is scouting. And that's unfortunately something that Mute was not able to accomplish there. And now we're getting into game 2. We're getting into that second game, loading in to Oceanborn. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Oceanborn, we have our South Korean Zerg player, the Red Zerg, representing Talon Esports, leading the series 1-0. It is Dark. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have the Peruvian Protoss player, the Blue Protoss, representing Team New Angels. It is Mute. Been a long time since I've seen New Angels. For those that are unaware, New Angels is a Peruvian team. They're a clan, they're a team. They used to be very active and they used to compete very often. I don't think they're active anymore, or as much as they used to be. They used to, like, you know, field a bunch of pro players and be a big part of the Latin American scene. Nowadays, Latin American scene has shrunk a little bit, so we have seen less of them being active. But that's why I'm happy to see Mute coming back. Happy to see him. Meanwhile, we do see a hatch first out of Dark, gate expand out of Mute. Everything's looking normal for now, but clearly, as we saw in the previous game, Dark is willing to be hyper-aggressive. I mean, it's Dark we're talking about. He's always in your face, he's always hyper-aggressive, always difficult to read. And just because he went for a Link Queen Nidus all in game 1, doesn't mean he's going to do it in game 2. He could. He is more than willing to embrace the same build 2 games in a row. But we could be seeing something different. We could be seeing a German taxi. German taxis are very common on this map. What I'm referring to is a 3-base all-in instead. A 3-base all-in, roach-based all-in. The reason why we see it so often on this map is because Oceanborn, you are a lot more exposed, you're a lot more vulnerable. Basically, this 3rd base has no big advantage, or the kind of map features here at the 3rd base aren't as defensive as they are on other maps. There's no ramp. There's no ramp coming into the natural. Because of that, you don't have any high ground advantage. Likewise, the entrance is a little bit wider open as well. So we've seen a lot of roach-based all-ins in this matchup. And we could be seeing Dark embrace that as well. Whether it's a German taxi, whether we just walk the Queens across the map and go for a hatch-based all-in instead of a lair-based all-in, we have options. Or it could just be a Nidus again, right? It could be. Could be. We shall see. For now, we have our initial Stargate from Mute. It's going to be a Stargate opener into Oracles once again. And Mute, he's finding out the hard way that against Dark, you need to scout. You need to be on top of what your opponent is up to. You need to be able to recognize the build of choice, the aggression from Dark, because we all know he's going to be aggressive, but how aggressive, that is the question. That is the question. So here we go, we have our Adept going to be shading out. Adept does shade across the map, and for the time being, we do see the Dark is just happily droning, making more queens, just settling in. Just going to be settling into his game. And likewise, we're soon going to be active on the map with our initial Adepts and Oracles. And really, my eyes are still peeled, and they're still on a Dark. I mean, they're always on Dark. Always looking at him, Papi. Ah, it's beautiful. But we'll see if we go for any earlier lair timing. If you remember, last game it was around 4:10. It was just under 4:30 for the lair timing. Third base is being taken. Oracles are moving out. Dark still droning, queens are getting in position. We have 2 queens here at the natural, we have 2 queens in the main, spores are on the way, the Oracle dips in, but we have our queens in position. Despite that, we do get 2 drone kills. The Oracle, no! Oh, the Oracle goes down. 2 workers is not worth it. Massive pickoff here from Dark. He shuts down the Oracle, and that means that much less scouting information. That much less to apply pressure to Dark. He does rotate his queens around, 3 queens towards the third, 2 queens at the natural, just 1 in the main, but the spores are done. And that's a fast lair. That is another fast lair. Now, it is not as fast. Oh, God. That is not as fast as the previous game. This was around a 4:25-ish lair timing. So it is later than what we saw previously. And we see why. That's a Roach Warren. Now, with this lair first into Roach Warren, this could be for a 3-base all-in. We could be cutting workers at 66, at around 66 workers, and just mass up Roach Ravager. Dark is taking a 4th, but I'm still unconvinced that this 4th isn't just for Larva. We'll see. Meanwhile, the Oracle will get eyes on the 4th base. That is a tell for Mute that for now we're safe and sound, and we can focus on our economy, we can focus on building up. The lair is soon to finish. Revelation does get eyes on the lair. That is a macro hatch on the way. So I'm leaning towards, okay, never mind. I was gonna say I'm leaning towards 2 macro hatches, but Dark is now going for double Evo chamber. So upgrades are on the way. Dark is working towards a longer game, towards a later game. Otherwise, we wouldn't be seeing these upgrades. There'd be no reason to. We're taking gases, droning up, getting up to our 5, soon to be 6 gas setup. Likewise, Mute's back at home, just securing himself, working towards the Templar Archives. Interesting. Wing +1 and Templar Archives on the way. So we're not working towards a robo-based composition, working towards Archons and Storm. There we go, Storm instead. I do appreciate that. Storm is a little bit more of a flashy way to play Protoss instead of relying on Colossus and just mass robo units. So we had options, and our choice here is going to be Storm and Archons. Meanwhile, we're keeping up with the Adepts. Gonna be able to focus them down. And I was curious, with the fast lair, we're rushing into a fast infestation pit. This is insane. This is insanely fast. There we go. We're going into the hive already. We're rushing into the hive, and Dark is droning. Okay, so he is gonna be saturating his bases, getting up to 4-base saturation. And embracing Ling, Bane, Roach, Ravager, rushing so quickly here into hive tech. And he's being left alone. It looks like potentially, after what happened in the last game, Mute is playing scared. Like, Mute... I mean, it makes sense we lost the Oracles, right? We lost our Oracles early on. We have been passive with the Adepts. We've been passive with the Stalkers. Blink is done, but we've barely done anything with it. We've been stuck at home. And because Mute has been staying at home and staying at the 3rd base, it means that Dark is free to do whatever he wants. He's been heavily droning. Heavily droning up. Getting up to 4 bases. Hive is almost done. Hydrogen's on the way. This is going to be for Lurker Tech soon thereafter. So Dark just rushing into Hydra Lurker Viper, rushing into his late game, into his ideal, taking another. Mute is just, yeah, unfortunately, he's just being taken advantage of. Because Mute is being so passive, like Dark is getting away with so much. Bathing Drop moving out, Lurker Dens on the way. Getting into our upgrades, Burrow, Hydra Speed, Adrenal as well now that we have the Hive. The Hydra Den was a little bit delayed. Ideally, you want the Hydra Den to be done in time for the Hive, so you can make the Lurker Den at the same time for those upgrades for like a crisper timing. So it's a little bit shaky, but regardless, I mean, Dark is free to do what he wants. Meanwhile, Mute, that's a lot of High Templar. Oh my god, how many storms? That's 9 High Templar already. So this army has a lot of potential, but there's very little support for the High Templar. The storms are being thrown down on the roaches, less than ideal. Lings, they collapse in. More storms being wasted, or more storms forced to be used, I should say, on the Lings. Probes are shut down. We deny the 4th. Oh, Banelings, they did get into the natural. Big move here from Dark. I'm sorry, we did miss it. But the Bathing Drop did pop up. 13 probes going down. And as Mute is kept busy, as Mute is struggling to expand and take a 4th, Dark, he's just massing up. Just building up his army. Stasis Trap going up, does connect. Likewise, the storms are good, but I was gonna say we're running out of storms. We still have plenty of storms. We still have 2 more, soon to be 3. The scary thing, though, is that we're burning through those storms, and that means that Dark, he's yet to reach his final form. Lurkers are on the horizon. We're getting to that Lurker tech. Stasis Trap, ooh, does connect. Not a back connection, but the Immortals! The Immortals, they left her on their own. 2 Immortals go down. Storms do graze the army. But again, we've been using a lot of those storms, and we're down to what looks to be 2 storms left. Oh my god, speaking of, we just spent them. We need a little bit more time. Okay, we have 2 more. Yeah, we barely do have more storms available. Zealot run by across the map. Charge is done. And this is going to force Dark to back up. Yeah, he turns back around. Has to race back home. Zealots have a lot of potential. They get a queen. They get 2 queens. And they give Mute some breathing room. But again, Mute is still stuck on 3 bases. Still stuck on those 3 bases. Still has not taken a 4th. Stasis Trap is denied. Another Stasis going up. Lings, they go for the High Templar once again. Forcing out more storms. Dancing with the army. Oh my god, yeah, so many storms being spent. And we get some okay connections, but we were a little bit trigger happy there. That was like, what, 6-7 storms being spent. And I'm waiting for the final form. Here we go. Upgrades are done. Show us the Lunkers. There they are. Let's go. 13 Lunkers on the way. And here he comes. Dark. He's maxed out with Ling Hydra Lurker. Still no 4th base for Mute. He's been stuck at home the entire time. Stuck dancing with the Ling Hydra. And now with the Lurkers, now do we have an answer for this? We've been bleeding out Immortals. There's only one Immortal. How many High Templar? 17! 17 High Templar! That's insane! That's far too much! Ay, ay, ay. And here we go. The Lurkers are slowly pushing forward. A massive splash is going off. Oh my god! We had 17 High Templar. We are down to 8. Cutting it in half, we catch more High Templar. And you can see the High Templar just melt. They just melted before the Lurkers. They get completely shut down. And with that, GG gets called. Dark will take the series 2-0, advancing on to the semi-finals. GG. GG, well played. Dark will take it, will advance on here. Again, game 1 was hyper aggressive with a Link Queen Nidus all in. Game 2, Dark embraced a more longer tech heavy game instead, able to rush into Hive, and it did feel like Mute was playing scared. It did feel like it did look like he was playing scared against his opponent, and because of that, Dark was just given so much freedom, so much breathing room to do whatever he wanted, and with that breathing room, he just embraced the Lurker tech. And with that, GG. GG, well played. Dark will take the series. And now we're getting ready for our semifinals. There's 2 matches left. 2 series remaining. Dark versus Estrella is coming up next on the channel. Winner goes up against Clem in the grand finals.